Well, good evening. I'm meteorologist Alan Matthew. This is a late night discussion regarding Tuesday, February the 2nd, severe weather potential. So let's hop to it. Alright, first things first, where's our system at? The system that will be generating all of the activity and potential for severe weather Tuesday is still out in the Pacific Ocean at this time. And that's about 3,000 miles from where we're at. As such, it remains over the ocean where we have very few ways to make observations. And so our models are just kind of doing their thing right now, but once we start ingesting more data into them, they may change their tune a little bit. So I'm kind of not putting too much stock into what the models say, and that is why I've highlighted these question marks here. No one really knows where the low is going to track at this point. We have some ideas. We know what the models are suggesting, but, who knows? And so that's big question number one. Where's the low pressure track? This is crucial. If it goes further south, that has certain implications for us. If it goes further north, that means certain things for us as well. Here's just a look at one model. I think this is the GFS. It's so small I can't see it though, but this is one model over several runs, and it's showing consistently that the low pressure is more focused to the north, up there around north central Missouri, maybe even eastern Iowa, which would certainly help to diminish the overall threat of severe weather here for us in Mississippi. Let's look at some other things. GFS, mean sea level pressure anomaly. This is putting the low pressure center right there in eastern Kansas, western Missouri. The Euro is putting it just slightly further to the south in the southeastern portions of Kansas. And then the NAM is actually kind of in line with the Euro, at least in terms of the positioning, not so much in the intensity of the low. So that's a little bit further to the south of the GS as well. Here's the global ensemble forecast system. And this is showing some pretty good clustering of low pressure centers. It's putting the low pressure basically, not too far from what we just saw, but a little bit further to the north and a little bit further to the east for the same time. And finally, this is the global ensemble forecast hype pattern. So not a whole lot of spread there, but there is some wiggle room for this to change as we go forward. And any change, no matter how small it may seem, could have some pretty significant consequences for us. Second big question is how unstable will the atmosphere be? Can it get? So let's look at some things and talk about it. Schref is suggesting that there's a hit or miss, 50% roughly chance of seeing 500 joules per kilogram of CAPE over Mississippi and Alabama heading into Tuesday afternoon. Now, 500 joules per kilogram of CAPE is not a lot, but in the winter it's usually sufficient due to the massive amount of upper level support that we typically tend to have, and that is the case this time. So we could probably make do with a modest, even low amount of CAPE and still see some stronger storms, maybe even potentially tornadic. I think this switches over the GEFS Global Ensemble Forecast System. Probability of seeing CAPE in excess of 1,000 joules, not very high. And now going back to the Schref, again, probability of seeing that much CAPE, 1,000 joules per kilogram, not high. Here's some model solutions. The GFS at lunchtime Tuesday, maybe 500, maybe slightly more, but probably less than 1,000 draped across central Mississippi. And then the NAM, as is typical, more bullish, suggesting values maybe over 1,000 joules per kilogram, which would certainly bolster the chances for severe weather here across the south. So in order to get the instability, you need to draw it from somewhere. And there is some warm air down there in the Gulf of Mexico that we could potentially tap into. But again, the low has to go further south, has to be more intense. If it does, we could potentially pull some of this up into our region, and that would increase the chances of severe weather. Another thing that's going to be at play is going to be a very robust 850 millibar low-level jet, and that's what's being shown here by the Euro going into Tuesday morning. That starts to ramp up, especially into the afternoon hours, and that's going to enhance that strong damaging wind potential, which I think may trump the tornado potential depending on how things go, but it would also act to enhance any kind of tornadic potential there is going into this. If it tracks further south, then it certainly could help support some discrete supercell storms. And then finally, we'll look at some analog guidance. This is taking 15 of the best matched storms and seeing what the likelihood of certain events are. This is the percentage chance of seeing one severe weather report, and that is 60% chance for south central Mississippi. So that's pretty good. Pretty good odds that they're going to see at least one severe report. And then finally, we end here with the probability or the percentage chance of seeing one significant tornado, and that's about 20%. So, and that is very close to the Golden Triangle region. So this is definitely something we have to keep a very close eye on to monitor for trends and changes. I encourage you, with the bottom line, please monitor your local forecast in the coming 24 to 72 hours. Have a plan of action in place should you need it. We still do not know where the exact track of the low will be. We do not know the exact timing. It remains uncertain as well. Generally speaking, regarding timing, we're expecting late morning Tuesday through late afternoon, early evening Tuesday will be the primary time frame of concern. What types of severe weather will be possible? Well, at this point, all modes of severe weather are on the table, and I don't really want to get into which is more likely and which is not until we get closer, but everything is on the table. Tornadoes, damaging wind, hail, heavy rainfall that could lead to flash flooding, all of it. So that's the bottom line. As we go into this, just please remain weather alert, and as more information becomes available, I will continue to analyze things and give you guys the latest. Hope this helps you out, and I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday afternoon.